Holy moly, the Yemen Houthis have shot down multiple ships and airplanes in the last 72 hours, guys. One of the craziest thing is that the Pentagon or the US Big Brother says they're investigating why the plane went down. Well, there's only two reasons that a plane can go down, right? It got shot down in a war combat action, or it had a mismanufacturing problem and it went down. Those are the only two things, right? So more than likely it was shot down. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to have a multi-million-dollar equipment just crash and burn accidentally. Yep, it can happen, but the odds of that are very, very slim considering how much we spend on these equipment. So the most probable answer is the Houthis shot it down, right? At the same time, the Houthis are now stepping up their game plan because if you remember in the beginning, they didn't sink any ships. They didn't kill anyone. All they did is just hold the ships as hostages. They didn't kill anyone, okay? But now they're stepping it up because of what America has done to their country by just bombing the crap out of them, right? So now they're stepping their game up, and now they're shooting down American airplanes, and they're shooting down ships. I believe that we had two ships hit. One was sunk, and the other one was damaged. We had a U.S. ship, and we also had another country ship, okay? So now these guys are taking it to the next level. They're becoming more aggressive because we've been aggressive to their country. We killed a lot of their friends and families. So now they're just reciprocating our actions, okay? And now if you thought that shipping was expensive or was getting expensive, now imagine that one ship has sunk. No other shipping company is going to send ships over there. I don't know if you know the price of a ship. It's not cheap, guys, okay? And then all the goods that goes with it and the insurance. So the insurance companies are not going to want to insure any kind of ship that goes into those areas because they're the one that has to pay for the ship. They got to pay for the goods. So they're not going to want to insure it. So if they can't be insured, well, the whole system is not going to work, guys, okay? So if you thought that, prices were expensive, just wait a couple more months. It's going to get even more expensive. If Israel thought that they were having a hard time getting supplies, wait a little bit more and see what happens now, okay? So all this stuff, guys, is just happening, right? One other thing I want to let you think about is that, for example, in Israel, in their country, they have healthcare for every one of their citizens for free. In America, we don't have healthcare for all of us for free. But we have billions of dollars to send to those guys, even though they have free healthcare for their own people. So think about that. In their country, they have healthcare for their own people. In America, we have no healthcare for us. But even though we don't have any healthcare for our own people, even though there's potholes everywhere, even though there's crappy water coming out of our sink, we don't got no money for none of that stuff in America. But we do have money for Ukraine. We do have money for Israel. We have money, like Tupac says. We don't have no money to feed the poor, but we have money for bombs, dude. And it just blows my mind up, dude. Why is a nation like this? Like, why are we so jacked up in the head that we value destruction and death versus building stuff up, right? Why are we so warlike, animal-like? We just want to blow stuff up. Well, I can tell you, follow the money, right? Who's making money from this thing, okay? Just like that actor said, Robin Williams, I believe his name, he said, all the politicians should be wearing a shirt like NASCAR so you can see who's bought them. Well, if that was the case, we would know why we're at war. Who owns these politicians and who's paying for them and how do they benefit from that? Well, if you follow that, you quickly realize what's going on. So what's going on is we're in a depression in America. We're heading into a deep, deep, deep depression like we've never seen. Well, I say we've never seen because most of us haven't seen it, but maybe our great-parents have seen it. But what we saw in the Great Depression is coming 2.0 to America. That's what I believe. But even harder because the commodity is going to be sucked off, right? The manufacturer of the world we're at war with China. The raw producers we're at war with, like a lot of different countries, guys. I mean, the list goes on, right? I mean, since I've been in America, we've been into like almost 100 different fights or wars or confrontations of dropping bombs. That's crazy, right? So things are getting really, really tough. not only here, but all around the world. And when the situation gets like this, the only other option is massive war, guys. And as I predicted it back in 2016, I told you guys all hell's going to be breaking loose coming up. I said that the stock market is going to go bust, and it hasn't, because it's fully manipulated, right? And it will, because that's the last signal canary that's going to go down, because it's so highly manipulated. I told you guys gold's going to go rocket up when it was gold's only $1,100. Now we're at 2,000 something, right? I told you we're going to have civil unrest in America. I told you we're going to have war in America. And I told you that we're going to have hyperinflation. Well, we already had inflation. Now we're getting into next year of hyperinflation, what's going on around the world, okay? I told you that we're going to have civil unrest in America. We already had point one. Now we're going to have point two in the upcoming elections, in my opinion. And so we're in an era of hard times. And most of us in America don't know what hard times are, because we're able to we are able to buy a car without even working for it. We just go sign something, piece of paper, we get it. We just make monthly payments on it. Eventually, we can own the car. We can do the same thing with the house. We can do the same thing with our vacations. We can do the same thing with our schools. Everything we want, we can get it today. Without an ounce of work today, we can have the pie and eat it too. But the problem is, that's not how the real world works. That's not how a plan works. You have to plow the ground. You got to put the seeds. You got to take care of it. You got to water it. Eventually, you'll get a harvest. Well, in America and many of the Western countries, we have inversed the reality of the world and allow you to get the harvest first without working for it. And this is the reason why we have the problems we have around the world, because for us to do that, it goes against Mother Nature. So for us to do that, we have to rob and steal and take all the other countries' resources, hence Iran, hence Venezuela, hence all the Latin Americans that we have overthrown, all these countries we have overthrown, because we have to rob them to get their resources for us to live the kind of life we live. You know what I mean? We can't, because the only way we can get our harvest before the work is by cheating the system, right? Because that's not how the real world works. That's not how nature works. You can't expect to have a seed in your hand and have an apple instantly. No, you got to put some energy into it. But in America, the only country in the world where you could, or the Western countries where you can get the harvest before you even put the work in, has caused a major cancer around the world, because we have to consume, we have to get into debt. Our economy has to grow, and it grows only through debt. And the only way to continue grow is by having continuous wars, continuous policing around the world, continuous overthrowing governments, continuous just chaos, dude. Just chaos, right? And what does that mean for you and me? It means that we don't get to have health care, but we're willing to give billions of dollars to Lockheed Martin, right? That's what that means for you. What that means for you as an American is that your mommy has to work every freaking day just to be able to make bills meet. What that means for you as an American is that your kids got to get into fucking becoming a slave. They got to become rat slaves. Your kids got to have to become rat slaves because of all the endless wars. This is what it means for you. What it means that the good life that you're living in America is getting over very, very quickly. We're getting into a new phase of this plentiful is not going to be here. You're not going to be able to go to the gas station and have gas every day, okay? There's going to be a time coming, I believe, that you're going to go to the gas and there's not going to be gas there, guys. You're going to go and there's not going to be medicine there, because we're in war with China. The guys are making our medicine. The guys are making our cars. The guys are making our PCs, laptops, bicycles, your shoes, your underwear, your clothes, everything you can imagine, dude. We're at war. We're just a nation of war. We're just like Great Britain. We're actually babies of Great Britain. Look at Great Britain. Just a warlike country, right? And like an animal, just constantly in war, okay? And this is why Great Britain was a great power, is because they were able to continuously go into wars, continuously cause conflict between two different countries for them to stay in power. And that's how Great Britain, as a small little country, was able to be such a powerful country, because they realized that you can get two people of the same color fighting each other and make them weaker, and we can become strong. And the same exact philosophy has been applied in America's foreign policies. We've done that in all the Latin Americans, all the Middle Eastern countries, and so on, even in Ukraine. And so that same exact ideology has applied. And now we're in a situation where we're at World War III. Massive depression, massive job losses, high inflation. People can't even afford to buy a house. People can't even afford to buy a simple F-150, and so on and so on, okay? If you want to own a car, you got to get into debt for 7 years. You want to get a house, you got to get into debt 40 years, 45 years, 30 years to own a house. Think about that, 30 freaking years. A bird, guys, a bird with a simple mind can go out there and build a home for himself in less than a week. But humans, how intelligent we are, we have AI, we have computers, we have all this stuff. For us, it takes 30 years to pay off a freaking house, to have our house, guys. 30 freaking years, right? Think about that. Where a bird takes them 2 or 3 days or even a week at the max to build their home. So this is a society we live in. We live in a society where we take from the poor, we rob the poor for us to become obese, for us to have more gluttony, more stuff that we don't need. We have put in our storage, and then from the storage to the storage to the storage unit, and just pay for shit we don't even use, but we just pay because we need the economy to grow. That's the philosophy of cancer that we have now in America, in the Western countries. And I think that the world's starting to realize that, ladies and gentlemen, with what's going on with Ukraine, what's going on with Israel, that, hey, we are the boogeyman. There are no other boogeymans out there. China ain't the boogeyman. Israel is the boogeyman. America is the boogeyman. Ukraine's the boogeyman. We are the boogeyman, and we're pointing the fingers at everyone else, calling them, they're the bad ones, when in reality, we are the ones that's causing all the chaos around the world. Love to hear your thoughts below. This is Mike. Don't take no for an answer. Always remember, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and twice as beautiful as you ever imagined. If you're interested in real estate, go check out my website, myrealestatedojo.com, and that's how you can support me and the channel. Peace.